said, I'm going to give you guys my overall layout. I'm not going to do what I did last year because I felt like I jinxed myself. I'm just going to give you guys an overall layout of who I think will be the top 8 teams when it comes to playoff time. Just my overall thoughts on how the season's going to go. So, like I said, I see the Warriors having a big nosedive. I see them falling off badly, horribly, probably one of the biggest rises and falls a team could have in NBA history. I don't really see the Pelicans doing anything. I really don't. Zion can't seem to stay healthy. I don't know what's in the water in New Orleans, but nothing down there can stay healthy. Just look at Anthony Davis. He went there and he took all his injury problems to LA. Okay? So I pray Zion stays healthy. I do. I'm just not sold on him. Maybe it's because he hasn't played enough, and the highlights that he has, ESPN and overtime hoofs, and what's the other one on Instagram? Basketball highlights. They blow all his highlights out of proportion. Like, oh my God, Zion's the next coming to Michael Jordan. That's what they make it seem like when he hasn't proved a damn thing. He hasn't proved he could even tie a shoe right without getting hurt. So I know they have a good young core. I just don't see them doing anything. I see them being a play-in team and maybe eking into the playoffs. I see Denver potentially making some noise. They were the number 6 seed. I could see them being a number 4, number 3, being a little higher up because they got pieces coming back. They got Jamal Murray finally coming back. He hasn't played a game since 2012, it feels like. They got MPJ coming back, Michael Porter Jr. Again, though, he's a guy that gets hurt a lot. If he can stay healthy, the Nuggets can do some damage. But if he can't, then you're going to have to rely on Yoke. You're going to have to rely on Jamal. They have Bones Highland, which I think is great for them. He's probably the Nuggets' best shooter. But it all depends on Michael Porter Jr. and him staying healthy. But when it comes to playoff time, Denver's going to Denver. I just have to be real. They're just going to Denver. They're not going to come through like they did in the regular season. But I do see them being higher in the rankings this year. The Suns, I see them having another fall off. I do. I feel like the year they went to the finals and this past year when they had an 8-game lead over teams in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference, that was their time to shine. That was their time to go to the finals and hoist a Lombardi trophy. That was the time for Chris Paul to get his ring. Instead, Chris Paul is who we thought he was. Devin Booker, not so much. Because Devin Booker, he's young. The Suns are a young-ass team. But they have a lot of internal damage going along with DeAndre Ayton not getting along with the coach, with Chris Paul really being a shell of himself. Chris Paul is coming to his final legs of his career. I mean that with all sincerity. Because how many more years is this going to happen? How many more years is Chris Paul going to go to the finals or go to the playoffs and praying that they get to the finals? They should have beat Milwaukee. They were up 2-0. But Chris Paul's never been in that situation. He didn't know what to do. I just don't see them really doing anything this year. I just see they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs, but they might be one and done. They might be a 5th seed. They might be a 3rd seed. They're definitely not going to be a number 1 seed with the most wins in the NBA. They're just not. And Devin Booker is really going to have to take the keys from Chris Paul and really run the offense and show that these next few years are his. Dallas, I don't see them doing anything either. I'm not sold on Luka Magic. I'm just not. I love watching him. He's super fun to watch. I'm just not sold on him in the big moments, and I'm not sold on his team. They got rid of Jalen Brunson, who was big for them, who came up bigger than Luka did in some of those playoff games. Getting rid of him is probably a mistake because now you're going to have to expect Luka to carry this team more than before, more than he had to carry them in the Warriors series. They got JaVale, which is a great piece. JaVale's a great fit on any team because of his length. But how far is Luka and JaVale going to carry you? Will they carry you to just make it to the 6th seed and miss the play-in? Or, I just don't think they have the firepower that these other teams have to truly compete. Who knows how healthy Luka will be all year, because it's a long season. And you could say that about every other team in the league. It's a super long season to the point where, yeah, health matters. And we saw it with the Brooklyn Nets last year. The Nets were number one in the league, in the East. Kevin Durant goes down. They barely made the playoffs. So again, if Luka's healthy, then they, I man, I'm just sorry. I just don't see them doing anything. I see them being in the play-in and probably being an 8th seed at best. Now, Clippers getting John Wall and Kawhi Leonard back. Kawhi Leonard hasn't played a game since 2012. John Wall hasn't played a game since 2017. With Kawhi's load management and John Wall's uncertainty, I think it's going to take a good month and a half, maybe 2 months for John Wall just to get his legs back under him. But how is his role going to be? Is he going to be a facilitator? Is he going to be a slasher? What is he going to be with Kawhi and Paul George being so ball dominant? How is Kawhi going to look after being out for a year and a half? Is he going to take a few months to get back into form? Because if you take a few months of getting back into game form, you could already fall behind. I don't see that happening, though. I do see the Clippers being like a 6th seed. I do. I think when it's all said and done, Kawhi's going to probably play about a good 50 games. Paul George is going to play about a good 50 games. John Wall might play all 82. I definitely could see him play all 82. And I think they'll be a 6th seed because I just feel that there's better teams in the West than before. I got the Grizzlies being better than before. Even though they got rid of a few pieces, small pieces, they kept rid of their main core. Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, Ja Morant. Those guys are what made them the number 2 seed in the West. And had Ja Morant not injured his knee, we could have seen the Memphis Grizzlies compete in the finals. I do see them being, I'd say the number 2 seed. I see them being the number 2 seed for sure. Because, again, they didn't really lose nobody. Now, let's talk about another elephant in the room, the Lakers. The Lakers. Why they did not get a Russell Westbrook or just send him home is beyond me. Jeannie, you are not your father. And I don't mean that by any disrespect. You are not your dad. Your dad had a vision. You don't really. You're listening to the outside. You're listening to what Rob Pelinka tells you. You're listening to what LA Sports Radio tells you. You're listening to what the small YouTubers like me tell you. And that's keep Russell Westbrook. Excuse me. Even if this was 2012 Russell Westbrook, is not a good fit. He does not care about winning. Look at this picture. He is totally zoned out. He heard all the talk. As much as he say he hasn't heard all the talk, he's heard all the talk, and he is pissed. He is pissed at the fact that people are writing him off. But he is that kind of pissed to where he's going to get his tail, tuck it between his legs, and run off like a scared puppy. He's not the type to be like, all right, watch this. Let me show you. Put some respect on my name. No, he's not built like that. LeBron is built like that. AD is kind of built like that. But Russ is not. I do see the Lakers. I don't know. They just don't have the shooters that LeBron had when he was in Cleveland. The highest percentage shooter that they have is Kendrick Nunn. Behind him is LeBron, and that's on a few given nights. LeBron can only carry you so far. And again, how healthy is Anthony Davis going to be? Is he going to give you 50 games? I say he has to give us 50 games. If he gives the Lakers 50 games, we're talking Sizzler. We're talking we're going to make the playoffs without having to play in the play-in. LeBron will probably play a solid 60. I'd say a solid 60. We get him going on a roll, breaking Kareem's record. I know people are saying that's going to be their only highlight, but if we get him on a roll and get him to his average of 27, 25 points a game, and Davis is averaging about 27, 25 points a game, then we're talking Sizzler. We're talking the bubble AD to where the point is we're competing for a championship. But it all relies on ifs. The caveat is, can Anthony Davis stay healthy? If he can, great. Another caveat is Russell motherfucking Westbrook. If he just stays out the way, keeps the ball in his hands without turning it over, I think we'll be fine. I do. If he doesn't just drive in and throw the ball up to the ceiling or shoot the ball off the backboard so hard that the backboard needs therapy after the game, we'll be fine. If he just takes care of the damn ball, we'll be fine. I swear, I remember in high school I played with a kid that played exactly like Westbrook, to the point where I'm watching Westbrook play and it's literally giving me deja vu. Like, I saw this happen. Where did I see it? Oh, yeah, in high school. You know, I'm not really going to make a prediction about the Lakers because I had them going to the finals last year and they highly disappointed me. And it pissed me off to the point where I'm not even going to set an expectation for them. I'm just going to see what they do. And whatever they do, I'm just going to go with it. So, my top 4 teams in the West: Memphis, Phoenix, Clippers, and Lakers. I feel like those are the teams that are going to make a statement most. And at the end, will probably be the top 4 seeds in the West. Let's go to the East. My top 4 teams in the East. I'm riding with Brooklyn in the East till I die. Till I die. I want Kevin Durant to win a title without the Warriors. That way people can finally put some respect on his name and people will be like, wow, he really didn't need the Warriors for that. He won a title on his own. And I think had the vaccine mandates not been in effect, the Nets would have won a title by now. They really would have. They really would have. Especially if Kyrie Irving didn't injure his ankle in 2021. The Nets would have probably went back to back. But I think now a full season with KD, a full season with Kyrie, a full season with the healthy, mentally strong Ben Simmons, the Nets will be making some noise. The Nets will probably be your number 2, number 3 seed in the East. Shall all these guys be healthy? They had some really good additions that I love from this offseason. Adding TJ Warren. If he could just get back to his form in the bubble, we're talking Sizzler. They got Patty Mills still under contract. Seth Curry, great shooter under contract. They got 3 great shooters on their team aside from Kyrie and KD. Patty Mills, Seth Curry, ever heard of him? Not Gary Harris, fucking Joe Harris. Ever heard of him? Beat Steph Curry in the 2019 3-point contest. The Nets have the ability to contend for a championship, and I really do think they will. I do. I really do. Miami, I feel like they had their chance. I feel like they're similar to Phoenix to the point where their window of opportunity is slowly closing. Slowly closing. They went to the finals against the Lakers in 2020, put up more of a fight than people expected, took 2 games off the Lakers. And had Jimmy Butler just had a little more gas in the tank, maybe they could have took 3 games off the Lakers. But they didn't. And they shot the bucket in 2021 to the Bucks, had like a finals hangover. And then this year, number 1 seed, lost to Boston, and Jimmy Butler shot that terrible shot. We all know he's not a good 3-point shooter, so he shot that terrible shot to the point where we're questioning Jimmy Butler as a prolific player in the league. Again, I don't really see them doing much. I think their window of opportunity is closing, similar to Phoenix. Boston, on the other hand, they're coming off drama. Drama to the point where, like Golden State, it could ruin their season. I'm just going to be honest right now. Boston nor Golden State will not be in the finals. We will have a new champion in 2022-2023. What's going to happen if Boston goes on like a 3-game losing streak, 4-game losing streak? Ime Udoka was their man. He was their guy to rally the troops, get them under center, tell them the things that they needed to hear, not what they wanted to hear, what they needed to hear. And the results was a finals appearance. The results was winning the last, what was it, like 20 games after the All-Star break, 15, 20 games out of the All-Star break. He got them to a championship contending team. And as much as I don't really harp on the coaches or give them that much credit, I have to do that with Ime Udoka because that guy is a great coach, a great, great coach. And I really wish he didn't get suspended for a year. And I really wish that this whole stigma around him would just go away. But it probably won't until he comes back. Boston, again, what's going to happen? This new coach, hopefully he can rally the troops. Hopefully he could take some notes from Ime and implement them into coaching this team. Like many teams, like Memphis, like Phoenix, like Miami, they're a young-ass team to the point where they're not yet mentally tough to handle a bit of adversity. We saw that in the finals. They folded. They crumbled. Where the Warriors had the battle, the war of attrition, to where they've been here many times. Celtics didn't. Tatum needs to step up. If not Tatum, Jaylen Brown needs to step up. One of those two guys can win the MVP. I think if I could choose between one of those guys, it'd be Jason Tatum. But I just don't think they have it in them. I don't think they have it in them yet. Not this year. Maybe in the next 5 or 6 years. One of them can have an MVP type season. But I just don't see them being the force that they were last year. Philadelphia 76ers. All right. They got a lot to prove. Joel Embiid, he could have been MVP this last year. Could have been MVP the year before. But this guy has a lot to prove. But the guy that has more to prove is James Harden. Because James Harden, let's not forget, he has had a fall far from grace. It's not even funny. I actually feel bad for him. I do see Philly making some noise. James Harden seems to be in the right headspace, the right space to where, all right, I'm willing to sacrifice. We saw that in his contract. He took a bit of a pay cut to keep Tyrese Maxey and Thibault, who is still in contract negotiations with the 76ers. But he kept the core guys, the young guys, that will win you a few games here and there. I think if Harden goes back to the mindset that he had when he was in Houston, Philadelphia can make some noise. Philadelphia can be a number 2, number 1 team. And I think they will. I think Harden, this will be his third prime, you could say. He had a prime with OKC. He had a prime with Houston. I think this year will be his third prime, especially if Embiid isn't playing a few games. Doc is going to give them the keys to drive. He's going to give Harden the keys to be like, all right, do whatever you want. Go out, give me 30. Go out, give me 40. Embiid's not playing tonight. Go out and do you. And I think Harden will definitely shut a lot of us up, and we'll have a good bounce back year. Let's see what other teams we got out here in the East. Cleveland's going to be a dark horse. I think Cleveland is a dark horse for sure. Having Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, what's the big dude's name? Jarrett Allen. I mean, they're the dark horse. They were in the play-in last year. I think they're going to miss it this year, and I think they're going to be a number 5, number 4 team. They're going to win some games. Even if Donovan Mitchell's not playing, even if he takes a few nights off here and there, they're going to win you some games. As far as Milwaukee's going to always be in it. Milwaukee's going to be in it for sure. They're going to be in the playoffs. Giannis is probably going to have another historic year. Probably going to have a few monster games on a random Tuesday night. I think they're going to have a great year. They're going to get Middleton back. When he comes back, they're going to be in full form. They're probably going to go deep into the playoffs for sure. Let's see who else. Who else I see making some noise or not really making some noise? Chicago. They had a great year last year, but injuries plagued them, and injuries plaguing them again because Lonzo Ball, Lonzo Ball is just not going to be Lonzo Ball. And I'm not saying his career is over, but I just don't see Chicago being a playoff team. They could be a play-in team, but they're not going to be a playoff team. And if they are a playoff team, they're probably going to get bounced in the first round. Now, Atlanta, I could see them eking their way into the playoffs without playing in the play-in, but I can also see them being in the play-in because Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Yeah, they got a dynamic duo, but what's going to happen if DeJounte doesn't play on a Wednesday night in February when rankings and standings matter and Trae Young does play and he drops like 40, but yet you don't have the guys that can help carry the torch to the finish line and win you that game, and you're scratching, hoping another team could lose so that you could get in the play-in spot. You need big threes. You even need 2.5s to win in this league. Atlanta doesn't have that, but I see them being in the play-in. I see them playing in the playoffs. And I hope it's a great year for Trae Young, and I hope it's a coming out party for DeJounte Murray. Now that he's out of the system of the Spurs, who's like many people say is like playing in a prison, I hope that DeJounte really has a coming out party with the Hawks, and he proves why he's one of the best young guys out there. My top 4 teams in the East: Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and man, this one's tough because, again, I said Cleveland's my dark horse, but Miami's always going to be that team lingering around. You know what? I'm going to put some respect on Cleveland's name. I'm going to put them in my 4 teams in the East that will either make some noise, make the playoffs, or go on a deep playoff run. That's wind up in the pitch, y'all. You know what to do. Like, subscribe. Give me my own show on ESPN, or just give me more subscribers to the point where I could get a better studio and you guys could tune in more to hear my incredible hot takes on NBA, UFC, whatever.